My name is William, and tonight we walk the silent streets of a Roman city, caught in a single breath. When the ash settled, Pompeii kept a secret. It preserved not only houses and markets, but the intimate language of desire. What did the buried city choose to whisper to us? The full story behind this might surprise you. We begin at a doorway, because in Pompeii, doors speak. Beside thresholds are images that guided guests, garlands for welcome, grapes for abundance, and the winged god of love. Step inside and the walls bloom with color. Frescoes show couples in tender conversation, musicians at banquets, and the playful deity who turns attention into attraction. Why was this public? Pompeii understood that prosperity, hospitality, and intimacy braided together. A household announced its values on its walls the way we curate a front garden. In a merchant's dining room, a bride might be prepared with scented oil. Even shop signs flirt. A cluster of pomegranates promises sweetness inside. Yet the truth is even more astonishing. Behind the bright rooms lay smaller spaces where messages turned private. Cubicular, the sleeping rooms, often carried calmer colors and intimate scenes, not explicit but suggestive. A parted curtain, a lyre set aside mid-song, a glance held a heartbeat too long. These pauses of romance tell us the owners valued softness as much as spectacle. At the baths, warmth and conversation worked together. Steam cleared the mind, chatter set a mood, painted panels offered gentle humor. One motif shows the god of love stealing armor from a dozing soldier. The joke is clear, even the stern yield to affection. Among street shrines and courtyards stands a symbol that once startled early excavators, a protective emblem shaped like luck, laughter, and life. It points from fountains, hangs like a wind chime, and grins over bakery doors. Romans believed it diverted envy and called in good fortune. In Pompeii, joy itself was a kind of protection. What about the houses that specialized in pleasure? They existed, and excavators documented them carefully. The rooms are small, the paintings vivid, the price list pragmatic. Even here, the artistry matters. Faces are lively, fabrics luminous, gestures theatrical rather than graphic. The goal was to set a mood and promise discretion. Listen to the city at night. Lanterns flicker along stone streets. A couple passes through a peristyle garden paved with mosaic leaves. In one corner, a statue of Venus rises from water, a reminder that beauty brings renewal, not only display. The garden is more than show, it stages feeling. Another surprise waits in workshops. Scratched into plaster are quick lines of verse, a name, a promise. These graffiti are postcards. Some boast, some tease. Some offer a compact prayer for reunion. They show an ordinary truth. Affection had a handwriting of its own. What do we learn from all this? That Pompeii treated desire as part of daily life, not as a scandal to be hidden. Households curated atmospheres the way hosts light candles today. Public buildings nudged citizens toward civility with warm rooms and warmer jokes. Even markets carried a hum of flirtation beside the clatter of trade. Yet we must ask a harder question. Did everyone share equally in this ease? Status mattered. Freedmen spent to impress. Elites collected mythic scenes to signal taste. Workers borrowed glamour where they could. Love belonged to all, but staging it cost money. Pompeii shows both the tenderness and the economics of romance. Before we leave, stand once more in that doorway. Ash coats the threshold. Colors soften. The city is quiet. Still, the message remains. Where people eat, wash, sing, and sleep, They also hoped to be seen and cherished. Pompeii did not invent that hope, but it framed it carefully, in plaster and pigment, so that centuries later we can read it. So when you hear the city named for tragedy, remember its other legacy. Beneath the ash lies a handbook of human connection. Symbols for welcome, jokes for courage, gardens for renewal, walls that value conversation, and paintings that slow the heart enough to notice another person. Desire in Pompeii was not a storm, it was a craft, and that may be its most civilizing lesson. Walk a little farther with me. Beyond the busy street and the bright dining rooms is a house where a garden seems to breathe. Painters filled its walls with cupids at play, merchants at work, and small scenes of courtship that feel almost like memory. This is how Pompeii taught its guests to feel at home. You were meant to smile before you sat, to be softly prepared for talk, music, and a glance that lingered longer than etiquette allowed. Now look at a different doorway. A tiny image above it shows a pair who share a wreath. Inside, a bed niche sits behind a light curtain. The sheets are ordinary linen, the lamp is a simple clay dish, and yet the space is arranged like a stage. Nothing crude, everything intentional. Here is the lesson. The people of this city did not hide the hope of closeness. They organized it. They understood that love needs a room, a rhythm, and a little light. At the baths, another page of the handbook opens. Warm rooms lead to warmer ones. Friends talk in low voices while steam softens the air. A panel on the wall shows the god of love practicing jokes at the expense of warriors and bankers alike. The message is kind and surprisingly modern. No status protects you from the arrow that finds the unguarded heart. The full story behind this might surprise you, because the baths were not simply about the body. They were schools for civility. If you could share heat, you could share a city. Let us pause at a courtyard fountain. Hanging there is a lucky charm that early visitors did not know how to read. It is part comedy, part guard dog, and part celebration of life. In this town, laughter kept away envy. Joy itself was a shield. People wore little amulets that jingled softly as they walked, a music of ordinary hope. You may be wondering about places that sold pleasure as a craft. They stood close to busy corners and bakeries. Their rooms were small, their pictures lively, their price boards direct. Yet look at the faces in the paintings. They are theatrical rather than raw, stylized rather than shocking. Drapery swirls, hands speak in gestures. A curtain lifts just enough to invite imagination to finish the scene. It is a stage set, not a manual. Graffiti adds the human voice. On a plaster wall, a line of verse calls someone beloved and impatient. On another, a name is scratched with a heart beside it. There are jokes about broken promises, boasts about a kiss stolen on market day, and short prayers that ask Venus to keep a couple brave. These quick notes matter. They prove that the city did not draw its love stories only on polished walls. It also wrote them in pencil on the day. Yet the truth is even more astonishing. Many houses place the goddess of beauty in gardens where water glitters and ivy climbs a trellis. She rises from a shell, but she is surrounded by herbs for cooking and jars for daily use. That combination tells us everything. For these people, beauty belongs with bread. Romance does not stand apart from chores. It stands beside them and makes them worth doing. What can we take from this? First, Pompeii shows that intimacy thrives when it is treated as a craft. Hosts set a mood with color, music, scent, and gentle humor. Couples shaped time that protected attention from interruption. Public rooms taught manners that prevented desire from turning harsh. These are not relics. They are tools you could lift into any age. Second, the city admits a tension we must not ignore. Staging romance costs money. Fine pigments, carved fountains, private rooms, and witty art were purchases as much as passions. Freedmen poured profits into houses that told the world they had arrived. Elites collected myths to display learning and taste. Workers borrowed glamour in taverns where a mural could make a bench feel briefly like a couch in a villa. Love was common, luxury was not. Finally, stand again in the ash-grey stillness. A basket sits where someone left it. A jar waits under a shelf. On a wall, a small cupid points to a door. The door opens into a room that is no longer there. Even so, the idea survives. Desire is not a storm to be feared. It is a language you can learn, a room you can prepare, a way of arranging light so that two people can see each other clearly. That is the sensual secret Pompeii kept for us, and it is why the city still feels alive when you read its rooms today.